So this stage of Bitcoin is kind of like the final form for it if it continues down this path, which is awesome and tragic all at the same time, because like this is not the Bitcoin that we knew, we loved, and we wanted.
Pretty interesting question to kind of bring it back to the previous topic we had is how large of a solar farm do you plan on building? How big are you planning on going? Are you wanting to offset the whole mining farm at some stage, or do you want to offset half?
Right, so I'm gonna need enough for cloudy days. I'm gonna need enough to make, I'm gonna have to make 24 hours of juice, right? So I want to do that, and then I want to say, okay, like now we're gonna power 3 miners. Now we're gonna do 10, and I kind of want to approach it in a content creation point of view, but building and thinking in a mindset of a bigger scale. Gen Z has not been like burned really in a market cycle. They're in a bad space overall where it's like, okay, between my cost of living, my rent, I'm like never going to be able to buy a house. You know, you break down the 9 to 5. You look at the projection and you're like, a lot of them start to feel defeated and they're like, I'm not going to make that money anytime soon, so I might as well throw it all on a meme coin, and if it hits, then I'll be good. It makes sense to a degree and I respect it. But it's like fueling a weird narrative. If I 10x $100, it's not enough to do what I want to do or what I need. Like, this isn't going to buy me a house. I 10x $100, I'm not buying a house with that. If I 1000x $100, you're calling the real estate agent. We're living a real-time meme. It's like this era is unlike anything else. Hey, what's up, everyone? I'm Vosk. You're on the VoskCoin YouTube channel. This is Bryn. He's a key editor here at VoskCoin, does all kinds of other crazy stuff. Bryn, I'm doing it. I'm doing the thing we talked about earlier. Tell us something about yourself, man.
Yeah, man. I've been with you for as long as I can remember. I mean, 3-4 years now. I was one of your first employees.
That's
so
all you can remember?
We're homeboys.
There was no life before VoskCoin.
It was
This is the moment you ascended. When you joined VoskCoin, you ascended from an NPC life to having self-awareness.
And I was freed, man. So yeah, it's been great. 3-4 years, and been a journey. Gone from 150,000 to 600,000 with you, and here's to 1 million. We're moving quickly. Up front, starting us off strong. Your current thoughts.
Hold on, Gotti.
Oh man, you're bored already.
I know.
I want to start.
You said
us
I'm
off
giving you a quiz.
What are your thoughts? What are your thoughts? The fight, made Bitcoin great again. All of the situation currently going down. I'd really love to hear your thoughts on just the future. What you think it looks like.
Honestly, it's really simple for me. Is that you have one administration that's attacked Bitcoin and cryptocurrency to no end. They've never created any sort of clear framework. They've never done anything conducive to moving the space forward. Just, pushing it down, setting it back. And now you have an administration on the other side that has gone the complete opposite, saying that we're going to make a Bitcoin reserve and these other things. And honestly, a lot of people say, like, one counter to all of this, right? Because obviously crypto guys are like, yeah, let's elect that administration. They say you shouldn't be a one issue voter. Honestly, I completely disagree. It's really so simple for me that Bitcoin, cryptocurrency, from an investor point of view, from a miner point of view, to a crypto content creator point of view, this is my lifeblood. This is everything. Without this, I'm in ruins. And so it's a no-brainer for me.
Quick and easy, clear, concise.
And the fact that he just like crashed a party at Bitcoin Nashville was pretty cool. That's never seen that one. And then the fact that Kamala Harris can't find the time to do things like that while Trump was nearly assassinated, right? A couple weeks ago, yet he was there.
It's
right?
pretty wild.
It's just like, I mean, it's just not her priority, and it's never been. And then in that same conference, he says he's gonna fire Gary Gensler. And did you see that clip where he's like astonished? He's like, "Wow, you guys really hate him," and we're all like, "Yeah,
Yeah,
because he hates us."
exactly. Time for Gary to go. I think it's time for Gary to go. He's a fossil. He's no good being around.
Hey man, it's nothing personal. See you later.
Yeah, that's it. But but with just regards to even the current U.S. Situation, do you think that the news of the potential for America having Bitcoin on their reserve, as you mentioned, that reserve list of assets, how do you think that that will affect Bitcoin, considering the statement came out just after your video on $100,000 Bitcoin coming soon? So we have quite an interesting turn of events that you put out this video really confident, and then the turn of events just to kind of bolster that push. What are your thoughts?
Well, there's two things to this. And so this stage of Bitcoin is kind of like the final form for it if it continues down this path, which is
Mm,
awesome and tragic all at the same time because like this is not the Bitcoin that we knew, we loved and we wanted
true.
years ago. This is the Bitcoin that people wanted. So let me rephrase. This isn't like the grassroots cryptocurrency, borderless peer to peer cash to liberate us that was basically written in the white paper, right? This is this is kind of like the Bitcoin that was born out of like the 2016, 2017 era, where it's like, we want this to be digital gold. This is like a global reserve type currency. This is inflation hedge, those sorts of things. Um, at this trajectory, like Bitcoin will ascend beyond like the average person's attainment, to be a whole coiner, like talking about 1 million coins in the reserve, there's 21 million coins, right? And so the two things happen, right? The biggest issue is that Bitcoin's bought with US dollars and other fiat currencies. These can be inflated to no end, so you can just kind of like Trojan horse Bitcoin in a way. But if you're in Bitcoin and you ride this up, like you're going to be sitting pretty good one way or another, uh, for better and worse. The other thing is like, okay, if the US is going to be pro Bitcoin, they're like, oh, we're going to have a big stash of Bitcoin. Two things happen, right? Other countries are like, yo, screw Bitcoin, is the worst, right? It's taken over by the US. It's whatever. Let's make our own, or two, ban it, or three, get away from it, or whatever. And then on the flip side, they could say, oh, I'm going to make a reserve of 1.1 million Bitcoin, and you literally have a weird digital era. Instead of an arms race, you have like a currency race. It's just like China will be like, "Yo, I got more Bitcoin than you, loser," and Trump's like, "They don't." Right? And then somebody else jumps in, whatever, and it's we're living a real time meme. It's like this era is unlike anything else.
Yeah, no, it is absolutely insane, and even to ride on that note of the current era, the biggest hype word that is going around. It's only two letters, but everyone is speaking about it, and it's everywhere. AI, and I'm sure that you have been inundated with news and everything around it. What are firstly your thoughts on the technology as a whole? Currently, we're at a very watershed moment where we're moving from these large language models into a more visual and able to learn model, which is really interesting. But then second, the integration with crypto. Do you see any sort of future with that, or is it just hype and it's just another NFT? It's like create these short bite-sized words that people can say and just pump it, and then it kind of just fizzles out when there are no results.
AI is such a weird, interesting, complex thing, and the people that think it's worthless or shun it or whatever, uh, they're not going to make it. And it doesn't mean that you should be all in on AI, but do not write off AI. AI may not really be a good thing for you, or it may not be like applicable for you currently. It may not be that useful, but it's going to change jobs. It's going to replace jobs. Um, the technology is interesting. So I went to the dentist for cleaning, and I had an X-ray, right? And then they have something. It's I took a picture. I need to look at my phone. I think it's literally called like dental AI. And so the AI scanned my X-ray, and it said these are the areas you need to look at, and like they did a red circle. Here's a potential cavity, and one of my fillings had basically shrunk, and my tooth was decaying under the filling. So it was in essence a cavity, like a non-traditional cavity, but the AI pointed it out with a red circle and was like, "Hey, dentist, probably a cavity here." They drilled out my old filling. They're like, "Yep, it's decaying in here," and it was weird, and it was accurate, and that's just such a small thing, but it's just kind of like it makes sense. Like a cavity is a cavity, right? And so with enough data, it's going to hit 99% of cavities. And, that's just such a small thing. And it's something I would have never, ever thought of. I would never be sitting there like, I bet AI is going to change the dentist. All right. Right. And, so, and, to me as like a non-dental guy, it wasn't obvious to me. I didn't look at it. I was like, oh yeah, that looks weird. Like it doesn't stick out. Not to an untrained eye. Untrained eye. Is it there?
Uh,
Or am I reaching?
I think reach. It's a bit of a
Okay.
reach,
All right.
but
I'm gonna hang it up. But so with like AI, I think I grew up. We talked about this before, but playing games, playing against the computer. The computer is in essence an artificial intelligence. It may not have a learning capability. It's got its program set, kind of what it can do. But AI is like a game changer because eventually, in most aspects, like the AI can just kind of outwork you. Like especially when there's like there's a finite amount of moves, right? So if you take AI like in chess, like there's only so many things you can do in chess. I don't see why the best AI cannot just become undefeated. Best, like he will be the best, right? You integrate like a 3D realm or like 2.5D, like your real time strategy games and things like that. There's more ways to kind of maneuver. Maybe humans will survive a little longer, but I think in the end game, we're still going to be the losers. Uh, when it relates to crypto, I think that as far as executing trades, you're never going to beat a program. You're never going to beat AI. Crypto moves weirdly. The markets move weirdly. You can follow all the patterns, and patterns will put you in the right direction, but they're not 100% proof unless it can decipher something that we've never been able to decipher, right? And it's like, okay, these things are happening to do this X, Y, Z, and it could. But basically, it's scary. It puts it into a position where if you're going to be trading, like you're never going to be doing, hyper trading. You're going to be buying positions and holding, because like I'm not going to be buying and selling faster than this program, especially once it learns what to do and what to look for. I'll see it, pumping or dumping, and I'll be like, oh, fuck, trying to log in. I mean, it's over.
it's done. Yeah.
Jared just ate my Subway. So,
But it even makes me think about things that we've seen even previously for the past 2-3 years on chains like Ethereum. You have your MEV bots that front run trades and capture the profits there and are able to make millions. And I mean we covered that ages ago where the dude was making millions a month. But I mean we've already seen kind of the possibility of what these bots could do, and to even for myself, I looked into at one stage. I wanted to train. The MetaTrader app is the kind of go-to trading app, and they have their own coding language called MLQ, I think, or MQL. And basically, what you can do is you can just go, you can hop on Yahoo Finance, you can grab, I think it's 20 years worth of data of the euro and the Japanese yen, or the euro and the USD, like 20 years of day closes, day highs, daily lows, everything. And you can just run that through a bot, and you can say, cool, now train it on that info, train it on the programming language, and say, now develop a scalping bot that, runs micro trades for me. As soon as there's this sort of movement, you do a bit of leverage and you grab, then you close the trade out. And there's really a lot of potential, even in traditional forex markets, that it makes me think about crypto, which is 24/7, 365 year round. There's no sleeping, there's no breathing without anything happening. And it makes me wonder what kind of advances we're going to see when it comes to trades, but also in terms of maybe even the coins. Like, what kind of projects are going to emerge that will combine this distributed monetary system with the intelligence, or intelligence in inverted commas, this intelligence that is being developed, this wealth of knowledge that we have, that is like trained into one specific thing. I think we covered Chain GPT, which is just a rehash of Chat GPT or the coin. But I think the more we progress, it's looking really interesting, and I'd love to hear what your thoughts, what you're thinking might come or emerge in an ideal ideal world.
What I really want to see is an AI with some sort of like self awareness, right? I'm just ready to speed run until we get to Skynet and all that, but really, um, I want to see where we can get an AI to a point where we can say, okay, AI, like, you're a dev. You ain't just any dev. You're the lead dev. This is your project. And then you get this program to, you know, just analyze cryptocurrencies market, to analyze projects, and then for it to decide what it's going to do, and then have the program come up with the name and like the roadmap and just whatever, like the tokenomics, and just like what would it spit out, and to the point where it could be like somewhat autonomous. Anytime soon, only way I see this possibly playing out would be like a meme coin, where it's like it's a coin and nothing's ever going to happen other than it's a coin. But it's kind of like that one turbo coin, guy made it with AI, and then he dumped it on everyone and started crying, and said he needed the money or whatever. But that was very disingenuous. It just should have been honest. Like, hey, dude, like I'm taking profits on you guys. Sorry, yeah. But alas, point is, AI coin, meme coin, it lines up. It fits the cycle's narrative. Um, and kind of like to run on the topic of meme coins a little bit. I've been surprised that meme coins have run so long, right? And like, we've already had the dog coins of this cycle. We may see it again, but like all like the dog with hat and other things. And now they're literally just hyping up cat coins on Solana. Like cat meme coins right now are like the meme coins. And like I read something that kind of put it into perspective for me, because I'm a little bit older than Gen Z, and
Just a
they
little bit.
say that oh, what do you mean? What do
Just
you
a
mean?
little. I
I'm
don't
young
want you
at
to.
heart.
I don't want you to make yourself like
Yeah,
put
you
yourself
just
out like.
stop. You just stop now. I'm somewhere between being young and old. I'm an artifact. Um, and it put it into perspective that Gen Z has not been like burned really in a market cycle. A lot of them were too young to be seriously exposed in the last market. Like most Gen Zs didn't have NFTs or whatever, or they never had a budget where they could like actually like get real exposure. right? I mean, you pretty much need to like have a job, have some recurring earnings, or get super leveraged or whatever. And they're in a bad space overall where it's like, okay, inflation, like if this trajectory between my cost of living, my rent, I'm like never going to be able to buy a house. And you break down the 9 to 5, and you look at the projection, and you're like, a lot of them start to feel defeated, and they're like, well, F it, like I'm never going to be able to, I'm not going to make that money anytime soon, so I might as well throw it all on a meme coin, and if it
Yep.
hits, then I'll be good. And it's honestly, it makes sense to a degree, and I respect it. But it's like fueling a weird narrative, because like I've always liked cryptocurrency for the tech. Like it's one of the things that makes Bitcoin appealing, just the basic, simple technology and proposition of it. Like Bitcoin's not a meme coin. It's not for fun. It's not funny. All right. And then it's like, well, if you have a meme coin, you have Doge. But I guess in a way, Doge isn't even that interesting anymore either, because you probably look at Doge and you say, okay, it's got like a 10 to 20x in it max. And you start to say and think, well, I don't know, I could do that with stocks. Like, here's Bryn with Cat coin over here, and that could 1000x. And it's not even like that you want such a big return, right? So 1000x, 1,000 times return on your money. It's more, well, it is that, but it's like you don't have that much money to put in, so you need 1,000x. That's what I'm trying to say. Is it's like if I 10x $100, it's not enough to do what I want to do or what I need. Like this isn't going to buy me a house. I 10x $100, I'm not buying a house with that. If I 1000x $100, I'd be calling the real estate agent.
It's a close call, yeah. But it also makes me think about you, or want to know more about your thoughts of the current meme coins. I took a screenshot that I've got here that I'm sure you've seen some of them. They're like the Pepe related coins that are the meme kind of facades of people. So you have like Doland Trump and Kamala Harris, Super Trump, and Tucker Carlson, and Geo Biden, and like these crazy coins where they have the faces. And even these coins, like I'm looking at the stats here, coin Doland Trump, it's 700th. It's the top 1,000 coin, but its market cap is at $37 million. Then you have like Tucker Carlson's coin, Tucker Carlson, at 1,000, and it has a market cap of $18 million. Like top 1,000 coin, like at 18 million, not even in the top 1,000. So these things are absolutely inflated with not just thousands or hundreds of thousands, but tens of millions of dollars of investment from people who think that they're on the next big wave. It's all political related things, and I'm sure that they've made decent money investing early. But do you think that the meme coin situation as a whole is positive or negative towards the general public sentiment around crypto? What do you think about those kind of things?
I mean, I absolutely think that it's negative, long term, short
Mm.
term positive, gets people in,
Yeah.
and you finally like, all right, I'm going to try crypto. Oh, I guess meme things are like the way. Oh, let me buy some gigachads,
Yeah.
and then it completely dumps, and you lose like, I don't know, say you throw $1,000 at it, and like you had $1,000 to invest, and now your 1,000 is worth $20. And if you had put 1,000 into, say, Ethereum, maybe over the next year, it would be worth 2,000. The 2,000 is not like, oh, this is the craziest thing that's ever happened to me. But like, you've now increased your net worth by $1,000 instead of decreasing it by $980 on something that's worthless and has no utility and no anything. It's I'm not a big meme coin guy. Is also one of the things. Like I've always been rooted in like the tech. I like protocols. I like platforms, things that you build on. The biggest things in the world are marketplaces, right? Amazon, it's a marketplace. eBay, it's a marketplace. Whatever else. Yeah, and I look at these meme coins, and I also just find them nauseating because I want to see less meme coins and more serious meme coins. What's a meme coin that you know that's associated with anyone that actually cares about cryptocurrency, right? Like if I launched a meme coin, at least you know who I am. At least I have a track record. Like at least I'm a crypto guy, right? We get these meme coins by like anonymous devs. And I can't have any sort of allegiance, right, to that. I don't. I'm really gonna put it all on this a non-dev is gonna rug me, right? Or it's like, oh, here's a celebrity and I'm going to trust them. Celebrities literally have the worst track record possible with cryptocurrencies.
The
They're the biggest
previous
proponents
yeah.
of pump and dumping.
Yeah.
And then they delete it all and act like it never happened.
Literally, that is, yeah, quite literally exactly the previous cycle in a nutshell. Just add NFTs instead of meme coins.
Yeah.
Um,
I don't understand political coins in particular, or political meme coins. Like, they're funny, but it is the biggest game of musical chairs, right? Let's say you have a coin that's like pro Trump or pro Biden or anti Biden, or Kamala Harris, whatever. Like at the end of the day, it's like a meme coin, and you're buying it because it's making fun of this person or supporting this person, and that person's not going to be relevant for forever. Like let's say like you buy the Trump coin and then he goes and wins and like it's gonna pump up to around that period probably, and then just like dump and never recover because it's kind of like okay, we're done. That's boring now. Um, and is that what you want to do? Is that what you want to be in? This is truly degenning. And one thing that I thought was fun about degenning was like the yield farm degen period where it's like you jump on here, you farm all these yams and see where it goes. And this is there was a bigger like crypto mechanic to that. You're using dApps, using protocols. Like now people just buy a coin and like that's their degenning. And I hate to say this, it's the closest thing akin to gambling in the space. Like it's I mean, why don't we go bet on horses? I mean, because we don't know what the hell's going on.
just as soon as this podcast drops, we're gonna get horse with hat, and that's just gonna go. But yeah, just to bring it back a little bit to the one of the AI questions I had lined up that I wanted to check with you was you've mentioned about the DIY data center, and if the viewers don't know, you've got the hard drive mining shed, otherwise known as the DIY data center, that you've poured your heart and soul into, and uh, fortunately, unfortunately for now, the coin that is primarily mined in the shed, which is the Chia XCH cryptocurrency, it hasn't performed in line with the general market trend. It's still really suppressed, and you've mentioned before that you're hodling all of those and ready to wait for it to take off. So as soon as it passes a certain threshold, it'll be big payday, which will be amazing. But in terms of using it for AI and using it as something to kind of offset your crypto risk, I guess you could say, do you have any thoughts or plans in motion for that? Any thoughts or anything on those lines?
Like with the hard drives in particular, or more of just like the shed and like the infrastructure where like I can easily deploy like nodes and other
Yeah,
things.
I think more the infrastructure, just more the fact that you've created this clean, well ventilated, AC, completely removed from the external environment space that has a lot of shelving space, and you can kind of deploy as much as you need. Although power might be the biggest thing I'd imagine for now. But if you were to get another source of power for that shed in particular, do you think you have any ideas or any plans? Have you given it any sort of thought?
Yeah, so obviously Chia's been in a bad spot. It's frustrating. I'm kind of just in a holding pattern at this point. I think that it'll work out eventually, and if not, well, fuck it, I tried. Um, and as far as the infrastructure, I'm basically already stealing from it. So the fog hashing C6 6 miner immersion tank system that we deployed, I pulled 125 amps out of the hard drive shed, which only has 200 amps ran to it to do that. So I've already stolen. I've only left 75 amps of capacity in there, roughly. It's really only pulling right now. The C6 is pulling like 80 amps. You want to leave like a 20% overhead, right? So I essentially have 100 amps left, or about 80 usable amps left in the hard drive mining shed, and I'm probably pulling, maybe 10 amps from the actual hard drive mining and cooling in there. So I still have plenty of juice to do most things with. That service also has another 200 amps on it, which we took that entire 200 service panel, which is one half of our 400 amp service. So we have two 200 amp service panels on it. And we've run all of that to be deployed on the digital shovel nanopod that we've been waiting, honestly, about like a year for. So whenever we get that, I asked about it again today. Whenever we get that, I'll be able to deploy about 12 miners with that, with the 200 amps. If Yeah, I'll be able to deploy about 12 miners in there. It has the capacity to do 27, but I just don't really have any more electricity out there. So that's where we kind of need to evaluate and look at the next stage and see what makes sense and what doesn't. It's also important to get more miners deployed on that circuit because if I run my services near capacity, I can lower my electricity rate to about 8.5 cents, which is a big decrease over the 10 cents per kilowatt hour I'm paying now. And on the lower side, due to all the charges and stuff, if I only spend about $100 on electricity, my effective electricity rate is actually about 14 cents per kilowatt hour. So it's the fees are very heavy on a lower bill. Of course, dreams of solar and stuff like that, but I need to. Right now, I'm very focused on closing projects out, finishing things, and then kind of going from there. So I guess I'll just give you a quick crash course on what I'm thinking is next for the farm. So as it stands, right, we have this. I'll lay this out real quick. We have basically a bunch of 400 amp circuits. We have a 400 amp service. Service. I mean, on VoskCoin HQ, or we've called it the field building. Um, and that was never really intended for mining, but we do mine in there, especially in the winter. Um, and then I've got the digital shovel mini pod. I've got another 400 amp service on that. It's entirely full. We've got a 400 amp service on the gray shed, which is an immersion shed. We've got like basically over 30 miners immersed in there. That service is entirely full. And then we have the 400 amp service on the green hard drive mining shed. And that service, we just ran through the use of that. So it'll be nearly full when we deploy the nanopod. Um, so for me, and this is all in single phase electricity. I'm focused on getting a 3-phase circuit out here that will be bigger. We'll be able to run over 1 megawatt of gear if we wanted. We need to get to about half a megawatt to get a basically 7 to 8 cent reliably electricity rate, which is a pretty good rate. Obviously, there's better rates out there, but that's one of the better rates you're ever going to get in my state, Virginia. The farm is a compromise of building a farm of approximately where I want, as opposed to like maybe the best place to build a farm. Um, End game, I want to deploy solar, offset the costs. My dream is to have a bunch of solar that produces all of my electricity, pay the solar panels off, pay the miners off, right? And I've got the money cheat code. Much easier said than done. Trying to balance the mining farm side of the VoskCoin business in conjunction with the VoskCoin like YouTube and content creation. It's difficult. I could be much farther ahead on, say, the mining farm endeavor if I wasn't always splitting my time. But I did try to slow down a little bit and remind myself that, like, this is a like a labor of passion, and I don't want to outsource too many things to the point where I like speed run it and now it's done, but like I didn't do as much of it. Like I want to do a lot of these things myself. One, it gets costs down significantly, which significantly reduces risk. But it's also synergizes with the channel so that I can make content. Here's what I'm doing. Here's how I'm doing it. So I've always thought of VoskCoin as kind of like open sourcing, like a piece of my business, right? And it's like, I did this. This is how I did it. This is how it went. You can do it too if you want. I mean, we've gone over in such detail, like, our mining sheds and what we did, how we did them. I mean, it would be easy to take even just one of those videos and go to someone and be like, "Hey, I want one of these." Uh, if if this wasn't such like a niche, we would just approach someone and be like, "Hey, can you make like the hard drive mining shed? Like, it's just straight up option you offer." Um, but everyone has their own way they want to do things, and one of the biggest things we see with mining sheds, very oftentimes it's repurposing a shed that already exists. That's kind of like your ideal scenario is you buy a house or whatever and it already has a shed and you're like, I know what I'm doing with that. I don't
Time to
care if I don't
honest.
care about yard work. Do some mining.
Oh
No
man.
space for lawnmowers.
Yeah, that actually like literally covered one of the points that I wanted to get to, which was like, what are some of your thoughts on the next stage for the farm and your kind of move from when are you thinking about slowing down on miners and moving more towards the offset with the solar? So instead of buying a miner and breaking even on the miner, you'll be buying panels and trying to make sure that you break even on the panels. It kind of will just shift your focus. But what are your thoughts
Yeah.
for the next? Is that like a 6 month or a 1 year or a 5 year kind
The
of?
the biggest thing is the market, right?
Mm,
So miners I think are ridiculously priced
yeah.
right now. And they're more expensive than they've ever been, but like the market's still not crazy. And I believe that we're gonna have another true cycle, and alts will pump.
Yeah,
I
for
mean,
sure.
it happened in 2017, 2018. It happened in 2021. Why are we not going to do it again?
Yeah.
If you count it out, I think you're just going to miss it. And everyone just always wants it to happen sooner than it really does. But I mean, what is 2017 plus 4, Bryn?
2017 plus 4 is
Yes, yes.
2021.
And what's 2021 plus 4?
25.
And we all hoped and dreamed and thought and believed and cried and whined 2023, 2024.
But
The reality is probably going to be maybe end of 24 big pump,
beginning of 25,
and
yeah.
then all that like flows over into 2025. Some people think that like, oh, Germany was going to dump us. Like we're up like 15 grand per coin when Germany dumped a ton of coins. Mount Gox holders are finally getting their coins an eternity later, like 10 years later. And you've been waiting 10 years. Why are you going to dump now? Or if anything, why not take profits and roll into alts right before an alt cycle probably rips? And then you can make even more. Um, and so, yeah, I don't know. We'll see. But the point I'm trying to get at is miners are they've been ridiculous recently. Oh, like compared to historically. But you know what miners aren't? They're not sold out. They're not sold out. And that's what it was like before. You couldn't even get the miners you wanted without a huge premium. Bitmain's making batches, other manufacturers are making batches, and they're going to resellers for about the same price. And they're available, right? I mean, I can go on to whatever site right now, and I could probably order any miner I wanted. That means there's still time.
Yeah, that's a really
And
good point. Yeah.
the second that things are like we're chasing batches being released, right? I'm starting to think, whew, maybe I slowed down a little bit. I'm not
Okay,
chasing batches later into the cycle. That's for sure.
that's a fully
Unless
good.
the pricing is, like great. We have like, couple month ROIs, which the manufacturers have been so greedy. We're not going to see that. Um, so for me right now, the reality is, and I've been thinking about this, I've been looking at the numbers, I've been crunching the data. I don't think that I can build a bigger mining farm in time for this cycle right now. Maybe it'll be close. Um, so my immediate goal is to take my least profitable gear and just take it out of service and go from there. Um, so unfortunately, a lot of my least profitable gear is immersed, so that kind of sucks. But that's also the reason I've been able to deploy so much gear is that additional immersion mining infrastructure. Um, so that's kind of where my head's at. And when things go ballistic in this cycle, which I hope and believe they will, I'll slow down and then I will completely stop. And depending on what I have and when, I may actually look to liquidate some gear, right? S19s are kind of worthless right now. But if they start selling, like if Bitcoin goes crazy somehow and they start selling for, a couple grand again used, see you later, guys. See you later. Um, and at that point, I'm going to have to evaluate the market. I'm going to have to evaluate where my farm's at. And it may make more sense to focus on building out the solar infrastructure as opposed to the mining infrastructure. Because to mine at scale, I'm going to need more mining gear, right? Like let's say I want to go buy, like I could buy another digital shovel, and those are trading around, 40 grand or so right now, I believe. Right. So, I mean, 40 grand's a lot. That's a lot. Like, I would rather spend 40 grand on solar infrastructure, and then a couple of my miners are now on free juice, right? Like, I already have miners. I already have some mining infrastructure. I think that it would make more sense to just solarize. Is that a term we can start using? My existing stuff. But it's just I get lost in the sauce with it. It's frustrating. It's a lot of work. It's daunting. I've been so burnt out for a while that like opening like the next major chapter internally, I'm kind of like, fuck, man, it's like one more ride. This will be our last gig. We just got to rob this bank, man. This is it. It's just one more. We've
One
done
more.
it before. And
Yeah.
it's like, but this is the one where I get shot. This is the one where I get backstabbed and, I'm bleeding
Character.
out. I'm left behind. This is the one where I go into cardiac arrest. This is the one where my shoes come untied and I trip. Like, I don't know if I got another run in me, man.
But
I, I,
I also think it's really,
not at
and I
this
think
pace.
it's also important though to like sometimes be able to take a step back and really see. I think the community can also attest that what you've built is fantastic. It's magnificent. And it's really like I was speaking to my wife, and to think of the difference from when you started the channel by yourself in that room, that clip that I've used, I think way more than 100 times at this point. And seeing that clip every time I edit, and then jumping back to you standing in that field with those buildings and that infrastructure and the reality of the life that you have. It's incredible. Like, you could hang the shoes up, you could retire the jersey, and you'd be great. But when is the goal achieved for you? That's something that I think maybe a lot of people are really wondering. And even for myself, what is the goal that you can sit back and look at and say, okay, we've got the 1 megawatt farm, we've got the solar infrastructure, we've got the 1 million subs. Now, is it 2 megawatts and 2 million subs? Where does it have an endpoint for you? Do you have an end game in mind, or are you just kind of going with the flow, punching until you hit that cardiac arrest or you trip over your tight shoes?
That's what I've been doing for too long. Um, that's not, honestly, it's something I've been thinking about recently. Is where do I want to go from here,
Mm,
and when, and how am I going to get there? And I've pushed and pushed and pushed, and you start to realize, like, how many decent videos can I make if that's like all I do? Like, sun up, sun down, I'm like video, 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 right?
yeah.
And then it's like I push on the farm side. It's like, how many miners can I manage before it's stressful? A couple miners, no big deal. 20 miners, that's all right. I'm around like 100 miners, and like, it's, if I have a major issue, it's time consuming, it's frustrating, and it's so important that you can't ignore it. You could ignore a miner being down, like, for a little while. You can't ignore your whole mining farm being down when it's serious. Like, it doesn't matter if your family's over or whatever. Like, you need to go attend to it. This is your lifeblood. So for me, I have like some like core goals. Like, I want us to hit 1 million subscribers on VoskCoin. That's like we gotta do it. We're more than 60% of the way there. I think that a crazy ball run would afford the audience that it's possible. Um, and so that's like a core goal. And it's not like I'm gonna hit 1 million and stop, but I may hit 1 million and take a deep breath and then say, okay, like, maybe at this point we just make like the most like fun, engaging videos we can, but like at a lower quantity, where it's just like a point where I'd only want to knock like hits out of the park, instead of, say, like, keeping up with more like current time stuff. I don't really get as much enjoyment out of, like, say, news videos, as opposed to, like, okay, today we're going to go get a shed from Home Depot, build it, and convert it to a mining shed. Like, that's like the kind of content I want to make. But that's like, it's expensive and it's really time consuming. And like, if I did that, like, we're making one video this week. We're not making seven. Um, so that's like things I think about on the content side, right? And then on the mining side, I don't want to grow a farm infinitely. Uh, Not at all. I think, with the 1 megawatt goal, um, I think it's good. It makes sense, right? So that's like 300 something miners. And but my first real goal is 0.5 megawatt, really like 0.6 megawatts. So we can, like, even if some stuff goes down, we have a bit of an issue, whatever, we're always above that 0.5 megawatt. It gets us into the right electricity rate. It's 100 and 50, 60 miners, full size. And at that size, it's a lot, but it's still manageable for me. It's still manageable. So if I can build the farm to that size, I get the right rate. It's a serious farm. It's a serious endeavor, but it's not too much. It's not overwhelming. My double-edged sword that is me is when I get into things, I'm all in. I go full bore. I'm like, oh yeah,
Yep.
let's give me the strongest shit you got. Um, it's fun, and then some days I feel like dying. So it's pros and cons. And the other thing is, it's fun to talk about grinding and working this and that, but every minute you work, it's 1 minute less with your friends, with your family. And sometimes you sit there and reflect, and it's like, do I want to grind all weekend, or do I want to see like the people I care about and do simple things I enjoy? You could work your whole life and die. Like, congrats. There's some sort of balance. And I've been trying to achieve more work-life balance and just get my stress down. I've been super stressed. My ears are always screaming from high blood pressure. It's just, it's frustrating. Um, and it's like it just comes back to balance without going on and on about that. So that's like where my mindset is with like the content creation long term, the mining farm and the medium long term. And then if I could, like we talked about, I don't want to sound redundant, but like supplement that with solar, I think that's really cool. It makes a lot of sense. And then, somewhere in the middle of this, I would love, for us to explore launching a product, a crypto, like a line, like just something that is within the ecosystem that has a use that people would want, enjoy, like, and then it's not content creation. I love content creation, but it's like been too much. It's too much all the time for too long. I mean, just VoskCoin alone, full time over 7 years. Like, it's a long time doing the same thing. Obviously, every day is different, but it's become less fulfilling, and that's concerning, right? It's like I can't lose my spark, my passion, because that's the death of the channel, and it's the death of. I feel like a responsible and like an accountability to the people that subscribe and watch our content. Like, that's incredible that they think that I'm worth their time, right? And so I'm like, I gotta make some shit that's worth watching, um, and I need to do it consistently, because people, your attention's a fickle thing. Like, if I'm not here every week, really almost every day with how crazy crypto is, you're going to forget about me. You're going to go somewhere else, and you're going to take whatever piece that I occupy of you and replace it with someone else. I'm not so cool or awesome or unique that I don't think people will replace me with something else. I don't think that there's anyone else that does exactly what we do, which is a very cool piece of VoskCoin, how it's multifaceted, and all the weird shit we do. It's based all the weird shit we do. But it doesn't mean that I'm the only show on TV, right?
Yeah,
right. However you want to. I'm not the only band at the concert. It's one of those It's one of those concerts where they got like 12 bands, right? You'll just go over there. So whatever, dude.
Yeah. But you're working hard to be the headline event, the one that stands at the top, that the most fans come for. And I think that the fact that other mining channels are, imitating and recreating the stuff that we paved the way for is really a testament to the hard work that you've put in over the years. But, even with that, there is the unfortunate side that comes with it, that it's online. It's all present. It's ever public. And I collected some comments from recent videos that I want to read for you, and just kind of get your hot take and opinion, and kind of smash the the nonsense that is written by these keyboard warriors, because we seem to have quite a few of them when you take a look at our content. And I'll start us off strong with
Well, well, Brent, I don't want to stop you, but one thing I do want to kind of bring up, and I want us to look up afterwards, is I think that it's not something I like, want to pat myself on the back on too long, too
mm,
hard, or take it too far. But I believe that we're the first full time mining channel, and I don't know anyone else. Like no one else comes to mind. I'm not trying to steal someone else's thunder, right? But it was like I don't have another job. Like this is what I'm doing.
yeah,
And now there are other channels that are full time mining channels as well. I think sort of or close enough, or they might as well be with how many hours they put into my knowledge. And I'm not trying to say like, oh, I'm so cool, check me out. But I feel like honored that like I was crazy or dumb enough or bold enough or smart enough or just that's the way it worked out enough to do that, right? Because you compare that to other sectors, like people are so critical of content creators and this that whatever, but like imagine I was like the first full-time blacksmith or the first full-time auto technician or the first full-time gamer or whatever, like you would remember that person. But
exactly.
for some reason when it comes to content creation, it's like everyone wants to be one, but everyone also shits on them.
Yeah,
It's weird. It's almost like social, like high school clicky. It's like
mm,
you're shitting on that person, but like you're actually just like mad that they're popular or they're good at the sport or they're good, they're smart in the subject, and now you're calling them a nerd or
yeah,
whatever. But it's like rooted in like jealousy. But my point is just that it's cool and it's exciting and it's like an honor that we could be like on the forefront of something like that because like you can't go and be the first one now. Like that's already happened. Like you can't go and be the first full-time crypto mining channel. Someone else did that before me. And it's just like my point again, it's not a flex. It's like, it's crazy to think that like we've been on the forefront of this stuff and it's
yeah,
still so new and emerging. But then on the other side of that coin, the next potential president is saying that he's going to make a Bitcoin reserve. Like we're it's it's crazy. Like a few years ago, several years ago now at this point, people were calling Bitcoin dead and they were dead serious.
yeah,
Anyone who calls Bitcoin dead now, it's just stupid. Like it's not it's if nothing else it's digital gold.
yeah.
So don't say something so ridiculous. It's like that's like saying, "Oh, Toyota's going to go away." Toyota's never going away. Even some of the American car brands will never go away because they'll get bailed out. It's like some things are never going away at this point.
Just have to agree
Um,
and accept. Yeah,
but anyway, we're gonna go beat up some people in the comments.
yeah. Let's get the the fists ready. So we've
I'm
got
here for
we've got Mr. Chad Dawson, and this was from one
it. How
of
could you
our
do this to me, Chad?
this is from one of our recent videos. We spoke about the insane AL1, the $900 a day kind of clickbaity, I guess you could say.
Are you gonna drop these comments
Yeah,
so I can see too?
yeah.
I'd like to see them. I'd
I'll
like to
read
see 'em.
them to you, and then you can respond. So he says, remember, or he spelled remember wrong. So remember, Vosk also promoted his helium miners, making thousands of dollars daily for many months. Vosk also promoted MXC mining, which was mining $10 a day. Both projects earn less than a penny daily now! Exclamation mark. So he is kind of upset that he your success in helium and MXC, the scam, and he is now saying you people must remember this is the guy that that shilled it. What do you think of
Well, so technically, MXC did sponsor a video and send the hardware. Now that I remember, now that I think about it, technically they did have paid promotion, um, and like we've always said, you can pay for coverage, but you can't pay for favor. Um, wasn't it obvious when I mounted the miner on a trash can? What I thought I was doing, I was shitcoin mining, um, and I mean, pay attention.
yeah,
Uh, and I spelled these things out too.
Yeah.
And as far as helium, a lot of people direct negativity at me, but helium was very profitable for a very long time.
Yeah.
When the earnings I made were true, they're honest. I showed receipts. I had screenshots. That was the data. Helium ran their project into their ground, and Helium did not police the manufacturers that they vetted and put up a wall around. They were gatekeepers. No, you couldn't just go out and make a Helium hotspot if you wanted to. You had to be approved. So all responsibility lies on this parent company. I'm astonished that they didn't end up in a bunch of lawsuits, really, with the way that, like, I ordered miners that I never got, among other people. So Helium's still here. They're marketing on Coinbase, and they have a big marketing push coming up, actually, over the next few months. So you'll be seeing more of Helium, in the crypto ecosystem, even though they basically have abandoned their IoT, which is like their original hotspots, and moved to the 5G aspect. But as far as the comments, like, Helium was a very cool way to mine. It was low energy. They were low cost devices. It was lower, like, this lower barrier to entry, decentralized mining in a very cool and unique way. If you can't, like, just respect that tech approach, which is why they almost got up to like a million deployed devices. Like, it's just, I'm not
You're
gonna waste my
beyond,
time.
yeah, you're beyond help. Yeah.
And I don't like when people spew hate from projects that were popular in the last cycle and then fell apart since then.
Yeah.
MXC turned out to be a Ponzi scheme, more or less, right? They didn't have to go that route. They could have operated honestly, but they kept moving the goalposts. The project that I reviewed in my first MXC videos was not the project that it was even just 6 months later, a year later. They changed the dynamic. They added the bonding stuff where you had to have coins, you had to keep adding them, you couldn't withdraw. Like, when I reviewed it, you were mining coins and you could go and sell it. It was entirely different, but they changed things, for whatever the reasons, and it crushed the project. Honestly, much like Helium.
Yeah.
Helium's blockchain couldn't handle their growth. And instead of developing their blockchain to the point that it could, they said, I don't know, we'll just become a Solana shitcoin.
Yeah, just drop it.
And wow, it became less valuable after that. I explained that on video, and I dumped all my Helium around $50 a coin that I still had. Like, I went over these things in real time.
Yeah.
And if, like, people don't pay attention to that, don't try to fault me for anything. Plus, never have I ever said like, oh yeah, go buy these coins. Like, I show you what I'm doing and what I'm earning, and then people do whatever they want to do.
Yeah.
Like, VoskCoin is a review channel, and it's like a document of like my crypto journey. So
particularly
as much as there's a lot of negative comments like that, I also see some incredible comments about like how my content helped them change their life, and now that they can do this, or they can spend more time with their family, or whatever else. And so I'm thankful for the opportunity to engage with people like that.
Yeah, because it even lines up with the next one that was from another video a few days ago, a couple weeks back, and he explicitly says that your recommendations are what cause people to be burned, and that you're paid and the rewards drop by the time that anyone gets anything that you recommend. And it was really cool to see that in the comments that followed, people are like calling out the idiocy of the statement, because like you said, this is not necessarily something that we are like saying go out and get it. It's like you've said it so many times, but I think people have such short attention spans and such negativity in their lives that they immediately just hop onto an opportunity to attack someone. And it's really crazy. Even Chuck said, like, anything financial is a risk, but Vosk is solid in what he recommends, and he got into hosted miners and it's been profitable. And then someone else said that you buy without doing research. And then the last one, DeFi for Life, says, you can't control the rewards that are being paid out. And you can't control if the token takes a shit, like helium. Sometimes it might be just better to dollar cost average instead of buying the miner, and I think that it's really native to the crypto space that people are really on edge because a lot of it is just financially urged decision making, and that really leads to a lot of saltiness, a lot of negativity, and a lot of tribalism, which we've spoken about in previous contexts. But I really think that it's really cool to see that you get those comments that are people telling you how you've changed their lives or helped them get into the space that can change their life, which is really true, because if you make the right decisions and you play your cards right, you can do really well. But it's also, the inverse is also true. It's literally your decision. It's not that you are saying go out and do this or do that. You're just giving the research, the information. You have to make the decision yourself and hold yourself liable. And I think we're living in a culture where people don't want to hold themselves liable for their decision making. They always want someone to blame. And it's really sad to see the reality, and to have to always be facing that negativity. So yeah.
Yeah, and I just want to say I appreciate the people that chime in and just offer like third party opinion, whether it's kind of neutral or for me. I mean, they could dogpile as well. That's lame. But like Chuck and Miner 001, I see them on a lot of videos. Comment, and I recognize DeFi for Life too. And what's cool is that I'm not saying that they're big fans exactly. I'm saying that like they watch a lot of content and they've commented numerous times, which really helps me gain like a big respect for what they're going to say. Like if Chuck came out and said something negative, and I recognize him, I recognize that avatar, I recognize that username,
Yeah.
I would take that really serious. But the guy who came out with this negative comment out of left field, I've never seen him before, right? He's a troll passing by. Um, and I'm all for feedback. I'm all for constructive criticism. And if somehow I really am pushing people into something that's not going well, then let's talk about it, right? Um, so
The other ones that I've sent you are kind of a bit more uh, constructive and a bit more positive. And the first one is that user JU4 really wants to hear your opinion about low-end hardware PCs, but with free electricity. What coin profit is really worth getting into, or is it worth even?
I mean, there's really not much. Honestly, the only coin that really comes to mind would be like CPU mining something, whether that's like Varus or like Raptorium, and basically just hoping that these projects really take off one day. But some of these projects have been around for a long time, like Varus, and just really not done much.
Yeah.
So, for me, unfortunately, I'd say that they don't really exist. There's full time big business operations that are doing this more efficiently on a larger scale.
Yeah.
So
So even with the free electricity, it doesn't really.
you need good hardware. Like if you have free electric, you should be taking advantage of like getting good hardware, right?
Yeah.
I would get a electric guzzling like miner, right? That earns decent money. Even something just to even say like a Bitcoin miner, like Bitcoin, like S19 still earn like I don't know $6 a day, more or less. Depends on the model, but they cost if you have like 10 cent per kilowatt hour electricity rate, like $8 a day to run. But if your
Yeah.
electric's free, like that's plus six a day, and you get a brand new one shipped to your house for $1,000, like all day.
That's really
So
good.
I mean, like what does that break down to? If you're pocketing $6 a day over the next year, you'd make $2,200 mining, the OG coin.
That's really,
So
really good up, yeah.
free electric is something that people should really take advantage of if they have that uh, opportunity for whatever reason. If it's truly free or it's otherwise paid for or whatever.
Yeah,
Um,
nice.
as far as I see the next one, you read it to me.
um, Thinking big, he says, you're thinking too big. How about we join forces, dominate the Bitcoin network hash rate, or a different coin network? So he wants to come together, grab all the hash rate, and just dominate a coin. What are your what are your thoughts on
Bobby.
that?
As far stuff like that used to be like more interesting and attainable and possible. But honestly, hash is huge across the board now.
Yeah,
Um, for me, when I start thinking about stuff like that, I start thinking about how like we should just launch our own coin.
yeah,
I kind of keep coming back to that more and more and more these days. And if we're gonna have a government that's friendly to crypto, it will be easier than ever to launch a coin while being here in the USA. And kind of what that coin is, why, what it does is a topic for another day. But the point is having a coin with a team that that you see, that hopefully you believe in, and has a clear cut goal and functionality. It's why do we have it? It does this, and then who's behind it? Me and other people. That's already going to be more than 99.9% of cryptos. So
nice. Yeah. Then another one that I just dropped through is like a pretty interesting question to kind of bring it back to the previous topic we had is how large of a solar farm do you plan on building? The user says that they've just gone through the process of getting three-phase and solar onto their property, and they're thinking about buying a miner. So that's pretty cool for them. But for you, still on single phase and like having not deployed solar, how big are you planning on going? Are you wanting to offset the whole mining farm at some stage, or do you want to offset half, or like what's the megawatt percentage, or you know?
it's really simple for me. It's kind of just like I want to do it in chunks, right? So it's like, okay, you have a Bitcoin miner, and here's how to power it by solar. And I'm going to go out there and I'm going to build the minimum you need to power it with solar 24/7, right? So I'm going to need enough for cloudy days. I'm going to need enough I'm going to have to make 24 hours of juice with the sunlight that I get, which is obviously not 24 hours, right? So I want to do that. And then I want to say, okay, like now we're going to power 3 miners. Now we're going to do 10. And I kind of want to approach it in a content creation point of view, but building and thinking in a mindset of a bigger scale. So, really, really like my first like real goal, other than kind of like what I just told you, is probably, probably like 20 miners, where it's like maybe 10. I need to run the numbers currently where everything's at now. But everything's been trending down, which has been good. Unlike most things, really. But I want to pick that number, and I want to buy the proper equipment, and not just kind of like I don't want to end up with kind of like how my mining farm is, where it's like I have a little build that became big, a little build that became big, a little build that became big. I want to build I want to build a scalable thing from the beginning. So it's like, okay, like there's enough to power 1 miner. Okay, now it's literally 1 acre of the exact same thing. And it makes sense. It was the right decision. It scales. Um, but yeah, it's like, 1, 2, or 3, and then 5, 10, and just kind of go from there. And um, yeah.
That's really exciting. That's really cool. I think that'll be a fantastic day when you can know like this S21, it's free. It literally everything that it's running on completely covered, and just I think with your personality, like you've said, once you're in on something, you go all in. I think once you see that,
Yeah.
you're just gonna be like, it's time to go in. We got to get to 10.
I
We've got
know.
to get to 50. And you'll
That's
just
part
keep
of the reason I
scaling.
kicked the can. I'm scared of myself. Scared of me. The other thing too about about solar is I don't know why people aren't doing it more or taking it serious. If I had more spare time, my house would already be on solar. I'd already have more miners on solar because electricity is not getting cheaper. It will never get cheaper. And solar has been trending down. But at some point, everyone's going to wake up and start doing this. And then it's going to be expensive. And it'll be like barely worth it. And you sat around for no reason, maybe, maybe not, and didn't do it. Um, I'm trying to get all my personal friends and family on solar. Like that's, like if you were my best friend and you owned your house, I'd be like, dude, when you get solar? And you'd be like, why? Why not? Like you have an electricity bill forever. Like your AC runs all the time, and then it becomes your heat, and like you're always going to be spending electricity. And if you buy an electric car, how can you not be looking at solar? Do you want to generate your own gas, or do you want to pay an electric company a premium for it? It's it's crazy. And like especially with the opportunities to grid tie, and some of these things will be grandfathered in. That's what other people don't think about. Like one day you may not be allowed to grid tie, right? And they'll just be like, yeah, like way too many people are grid tying, no more grid ties, because the electric company isn't here to be your surplus power bank. Like they're here to sell you electricity and make money. And if you're if they're your power bank and they need more electricity, right? Or they have a good markup on your electricity versus like what they're giving you or whatever else, it makes sense for them. But they're a business. They don't give a about you.
Exactly.
So when that changes, if that changes, that opportunity may come and go. Like
Precisely.
if I like drag my feet with this and I can't grid tie in the future, but I could have grid tied today and they can't like normally those things like your grandfathered in, right? Like if things change, I'd be devastated, right? So all my extra electricity is just wasted, or like I need to now spend thousands and thousands of dollars on a battery setup. And now, like, I don't want to be responsible for batteries if I can grid tie, right? Because batteries don't last forever. I only want batteries as an alternative to a generator. I don't like, I want a small battery system that is, I need to run the numbers. And it's like, with this battery system, I can do the essentials for 3 days, whatever that is. Um, Also, by you like having a battery system and then using it every night versus being grid tied, like that's more wear and tear on these batteries. Um, if I had these batteries, I don't want to use them unless I absolutely need them, right? And we could go on and on about it, but uh, I guess everything's always about a disclaimer. I do own some solar stock, okay, but it's because I believe in this stuff. I don't think that this podcast is going to pump my solar stock. I don't even care about telling you which one it is. Uh, just with the way that they're forcing electric vehicles on everyone, it just should be obvious. The grids can't handle it. They're talking about doing rolling blackouts in Northern Virginia of the United States of America. So that is the basically suburb of DC, which, if you ask an American, is the capital of the world. So
That's that's
just
crazy.
so just think about that, right? That's where the grids are at right now. They're running out of electricity in this country. And you don't want solar? You don't want battery backups?
Yeah.
It's the bottom line is most people they're not even awake. They're NPCs. Go throughout their
Unfortunately.
days.
Yeah.
Too much stuff is way too obvious. But what do I know? Maybe I'm an NPC too. I haven't done my solar yet.
But you'll be there. You'll get there soon, I'm sure. It's you take on too much anyway, so I think it's best to just give it a bit of breathing room, get your stuff under control, close out projects, and then open up that new door. But just in line with actually even one of the projects that maybe would really, I think a lot of people would like to see your stance on is the way that I've worded it is, do you personally think that Casper will hit top 10 in this upcoming run? It's got to, I think, about 4x to hit top 10 at this stage. It's currently around the 20s at a 4 billion plus market cap. So for it to hit top 10, it's got to be over 16, which is the smallest top 10 coin. Do you think it's going to be a top 10 coin? Do you think that the mining is gonna affect it? Will it push it? Considering Ethereum made it up to spot number two and it was also mined, and Bitcoin is only as valuable as it is because it's mined. Do you think Casper, if the forks and the coins that are going to be developed on, I think they have like KRC20. I think they're developing their own kind of language to be able to build coins on top. Do you think it's gonna hit, or is it going to be a bit of a miss? Another Cadena situation?
It already can't be another Cadena. I mean, it's. I honestly, I still don't really understand, and all the crybaby, uh, just Casper fanboy shills get upset by this, but like, how have they commanded such a big market cap without major exchange listings? Like, they are the 27th biggest cryptocurrency when ranked by coin market cap per CoinGecko, right? And let me pull this up, just double check so I'm not spewing nonsense, right? They're not on Coinbase. They're not on Binance. They're not on a lot of exchanges. Like, they're not even on like a Kraken. They're not on Gemini. They're missing from major cryptocurrency exchanges, which makes me think, or makes you think, like, are is this a scam? Like, is this all market making? Like, are they propping this up and propping this up and propping this up? Like, where is the demand, and where are you getting all these buyers from on these shit tier exchanges? It's weird, man. It's weird.
And considering the miners that are being released are like cash cows, and they're making the companies that are launching them probably millions and millions of dollars, then to move the markets for them, it's in their favor because their miners sell out quicker.
The only thing I can think, and this would be like an absolute super ace move, bold operator thing to do, is like they possibly have these exchanges lined up or close enough or kind of in the process, or maybe they're dragging their feet and they're waiting for the market to turn and go crazy, very bullish, and then be like, Coinbase listing, Binance listing. It could go top 10 with the right timing on that. I mean, like those things drive projects up. Um, but for such a new project and the way it's ascended, it's unnatural. But I'm rooting for it. I just don't really understand it, and I don't want to hear like, you don't understand the tech. Then, like, bro, who cares about the tech? Honestly, like, we could talk about the tech, and like, I like tech, I like infrastructure, but what are people buying? They're buying meme coins on Solana. You think people care about the tech? Okay, like, it's not about the tech. It's about accessibility and low transaction fees. So it's look, I love proof of work. I love tech. I love it. And, I'm here for it long term. But like, think about it, man. It depends. Like, are you focused on the appreciation or like the actual exchange or transaction fees and like usability of it? That's a whole discussion in itself. I also hate the top 10 these days. I mean, we have USDT. Like, I wish that they filtered the stable coins out of like the homepage. Like, I don't want to see USDT and USDC. I don't even want to see Lido in there. Like, that's just a Ethereum pegged coin that has so much Ethereum that it's the eighth biggest coin, right? Like, so you take those out. I mean, somehow Tron is still actually top 10.
That sounds like an ancient relic that I haven't heard of.
That's what, yeah. It's
Somehow.
crazy. I mean, some of these coins, like, I mean, I look at this page every day, but I don't really think about all these projects in particular every day. Like,
Yeah.
when are people still talking about Chainlink?
Mm.
Right? I mean, there's other ones on here too. But anyway, I'd love to see it. I think it's possible,
Yeah.
but it's going to be like top of the cycle possible.
Okay. Nice. Yeah.
Unless they launch coins and the coins take off, and like it's just like, okay, now we're memeing on Casp, because I guess that's all anybody ever wants to do anymore. It reminds me of like the gaming era when everyone went to Fortnite, and I was just like, bruh, maybe I'm done with gaming. This shit ain't for me.
Just to kind of I don't want to say close out the mining section, but to just finish up, like, if there is, at this current stage, July 24, we've got the elections on the horizon, we've got AI coming in and mixing things up, and the world macro economy is at such a turning point. Many people are saying we're in a bubble, and miner prices are not seeming to slow down, but miners are improving at such a rapid rate. If you were to give any sort of advice to someone who wants to start mining today, like right now, they've got maybe a couple $1,000, and it's just the general purpose person. What are you thinking of telling them to focus on, to look at, and to potentially think about going forward with?
If you have the budget, my favorite miner right now is probably going to be the Antminer L9. Dogecoin's not going away, and you merge mine Litecoin, similar situation there. Script mining has been so stable, it's been around for so long. I think script mining really stands out to me. Personally, script mining is going to be a key piece of building in my farm moving forward. I talked about running like 150 plus miners as stage one. They're not going to be 150 Bitcoin miners, right? If anything, they're going to be 150 script miners. I am, other than a few miners, just to keep a piece of it, I'm not participating heavily in Bitcoin mining in the future because I'm competing against 2 cent per kilowatt hour farms. I'm losing. And it's they've proven it's easy to get funding, or easy enough to get funding to build a Bitcoin mining farm. You know what? It's not going to be as easy to do, to build a Dogecoin mining farm. They may laugh at you, like, I don't care about that. I do Bitcoin. That's only crypto. You have Bitcoin, you have shit coins. Like, they're guys like that, right? And it's like, okay, well, f you guys. I'm gonna mine the Dogecoin, and Dogecoin mining proved to be more lucrative than Bitcoin mining, depending what you bought and when you bought it. And it sounds ridiculous, but I need to be a little more speculative to remain a little more viable. Uh, but that's going to be an expensive machine, and all the machines are so expensive lately. It's 10 grand plus. I do like the ETC Cozy. It's a funny name miner, the Bombax miner. So that's got like the best in class efficiency, basically. That one's several $1,000s. I think it's like 5-6 grand. And mine's Ethereum Classic. I'm not a huge Ethereum Classic fan exactly, but like, it's a long standing mineable coin. It's on every exchange. It's easy, it's easy to deal with. It's in all the wallets, multi-coin wallets. And then other than that, I mean, if you're betting big on Caspa, you could look at the KS0 Ultra for a couple $100s. It's a good pilot. I mean, at best, you're going to make several $100s. At worst, you're going to lose a couple hundred. And then there's the AL0, which, if if Alf has a run anything even just half as much as Caspa, it'd be a very lucrative endeavor. It's first batch stuff. So that's interesting. That's intriguing. But it could absolutely fall flat on his face. That could be a Cadena type scenario. And Cadena, people reference that as like, oh, it was this coin. It was really profitable. It shot up. It was crazy profitable. Miners were really expensive. And then everybody gets burned. I'm still mining Cadena. I'm still hodling my Cadena. And I hope that it hits a new all time high in this cycle. I hope that I hope they're sitting on a war chest and they deploy it. I hope they, gain momentum and things like that. That would be great for me personally, and I would also just like to see it. I want to see mineable coins flourish. It's they're real cryptocurrencies. If you're not mineable, you're just a shitcoin token. So, Bond, that's reality. You're smart
Yeah.
contract, bro.
Yeah. Do you have any big mining farm visits planned coming up? Any exciting updates on that front?
We have some really cool opportunities, but we just kind of need to get out there and do it.
Mhm.
So, a lot of projects have kept us here recently. It's building the emergent mining farm has been like much more involved than it may seem from the outside. A lot of planning, a lot of meetings. It's like, figure this out. Then we need to procure the gear, which is difficult. I mean, this is big stuff from far away. We spend days on the electrical, then we spend days on the install.
Days
One
on
project
edit.
in particular, we spent days on plumbing. Um, and you have weeks like that, and you're just like, I'm not going to Texas next week, you know,
Yeah.
which Texas is far away from Virginia, for reference. Um, so we want to do more. We have some really cool opportunities available, but we need to get after it and do that. But it's just kind of striking a balance between um, taking on too much at the same time. And I will say, in preparation of doing more of that, I did just get Starlink Mini.
It's interesting.
Have you seen
Okay.
the mini one?
No, never heard of it.
Wow. So, Starlink Mini. So it's just like the other Starlink. They rip you off by selling you hardware that's several $100s.
Yeah.
But this time it's smaller.
It looks like just a little panel, basically, like a single panel.
Yeah. Yeah. I'll send you a link. But here's why I bought it, because it's $50 a month
Yeah.
for roaming service at 50 gigs. That plus my phone hotspot is about what I need, for limited, moderate traveling. So you can even use it in motion, which is really cool. So, we could be driving down the highway and I could be uploading a video to the tube or uploading raw footage, to you to work on with editing. Um, and, that this should incredibly outperform, um, like my Verizon hotspot, for example, or
Yeah.
my AT&T hotspot.
That's super cool. That looks really, really sick. Yeah. And
And
yeah.
the pictures don't do it justice. Like it looks way bigger in these pictures. Um, but actually having like we got it today, and it's very small. It's more like the size of, I don't know, just like a piece of paper.
Yeah.
It feels more like the size of like a standard paper size than it does just some big brick.
That's really sick.
Like
I
a
think
brick.
yeah, that'll be exciting to see how we can incorporate it into some videos, get some fun ideas going with it. Um,
And now we're mining on the go.
yeah, mining from your truck. But just in closing, just to take a look behind the veil of the VoskCoin that we see on every video. Just a couple of random questions. If you were to be building, I'm pretty sure you probably already have your gym playlist. Playlist for jamming to while you hit some reps. What are some top artists and top songs that are coming to mind that are going to be
Uh,
in your
I'm
gym
glad. I'm
playlist?
glad. I'm glad you asked. The only thing they fear is you, Doom OST. Of
Oh,
course, Eternal, right? Rip and Tear,
yeah.
PFD Division. That's when I really want to hit it hard. Um, I like Bring Me the Horizon, uh, Linkin Park, Hybrid Theory, Meteor, Reanimation.
Good
I've
old
recently been listening to their 20th edition, 20th like anniversary edition,
they
and they have
released,
some of
yes.
their unreleased songs on there and demos and stuff, which has been pretty cool
Yeah.
to see. The Lost one is pretty good. It's very Linkin Parky, if you know what I mean.
They've got their
Uh,
signature style from that era, yeah.
yeah, their best era.
Definitely, yeah. That's
Um,
really sick.
but yeah, I like them. Disturb's always good in rotation. We talked about Seether the other day,
Yeah.
and I love a little bit of Europop here and there. I go around the world with Daft Punk, and of course I'm blue. And there's a bunch of other stuff. I listen to pretty varied music. I work to like techno, EDM, like trance. What's the main lo-fi like instrumental type stuff? Attack
Yeah.
on Titan soundtrack. Um, and I work out to angry music, and I do tasks to like very like loopable music. Like I was like cleaning my firearms the other day, and I was just listening to like Around the World on repeat, and Lex was like, "What are you doing?" I'm like, "I like this." It's like they're saying three words for 7 minutes, and then you listen to it again. I'm like, I love that.
You're a simple man.
I
Um,
think my mind's crazy, so I like simple music sometimes.
that's really cool. Yeah, no. It would be the dream to one day be able to hop over to the US, hit a couple of sessions in, and go tour some farms and stuff. But we'll see what lies ahead for the VoskCoin team. I know we've got some big plans in the pipeline, and like you said, the coin idea is always floating here and there, and maybe we'll have to
Oh,
do a full episode
it's
on.
it's floating closer and closer, Brent. It's
Yeah,
floating. I'm about to just reach out there and grab it.
yeah.
Uh,
But
but
it'll be really cool because I think we're in a really, really interesting position where we can have a lot of community input and a lot of community feedback. Because the problem that we notice, or particularly myself, with the work that we do, working so closely with you, is that a lot of the coins we work with establish the coin and then try to find a community and find a use case for it. Whereas we're in the opposite spectrum. We've got an established community, we've got an established, I guess you could say, use case as the content creation machine that we are. And now we build the coin around that. And we're in this position where it gives us the leverage to be able to use the people that are in love with the brand already to build something that everyone can love and everyone can appreciate, use, derive value from. And I think it has so much potential. It gets me so hyped to think about what could be done, and I'm sure even for yourself, like you said, that bubble is getting closer to grabbing every day.
yeah, and we have so many like just relationships and connections too. Like for example, like we've talked to and worked with many cryptocurrency exchanges. Like I wonder how easily could we get onto them given our status and situation as opposed to a no-name startup crypto,
Precisely.
right? And how much does that matter? Well, we'll have to see. But I'm hopeful that it's going to make a difference. I don't see how it would hurt,
Yeah.
right? So,
I think the one thing that everyone would cry out for is to ensure that it's mineable. So I hope.
well, if everyone watching this does not subscribe and help us get to 1 million, I may make a meme coin just to spite everyone.
Tails with hat.